tuning into Street Life. I'm Natasha, and today I am going to be taking you into the Dave and Buster's Marietta location where I'll be watching the Spence Crawford fight. Let's go on in.
So I actually decided at the last minute that I wanted to watch the fight. I went online and looked at some places to see where they might be showing the fight. Figured it would be a good deal. Instead of spending $85 to watch the fight, I could spend about $20 or so, get some wings, nice dessert or something like that. Easy enough to get to, just right outside of the perimeter. Given that it was a Saturday night, not a lot of traffic, very easy to find. Good amount of parking. I'd never been to Dave & Buster's before, but I knew of them from living in New York, the one that was there in Times Square. When you walk in, it's like nice and spacious. You have a lot of different activities. You walk in, it's like people of all ages. Certainly you have adults who were mostly gathered around the bar, the people interested in the fight, both the boxing match as well as the UFC event that was going on. But then you also had a lot of people there with like kids, like families. I think it's a good option because it's a place that you can go to as an adult, but you can also take your kids. You know, there's something there for everyone. So when you first walk in, there's an area where you can play cornhole, but then aside from that, you have areas to sit down and eat. There's two main areas with tables for larger size groups, and they have like really big TVs to watch sporting events. In addition to that, you then have the main bar, which is pretty close to the main entrance. And from there, they have smaller TVs, but they also have large TVs that you can watch the sporting events on. You have the arcade towards the back of the venue, lots of games and whatnot to choose from. And you also have a second bar, which is a little bit smaller than the main area, but, you know, also has televisions which you can watch sporting events on.
So the power just went out, waiting for TVs to come back up right before the fight starts. They better get it together, man. Adds to the excitement, though.
I hope not, man.
What a sign, man. So at Dave & Buster's to watch the fight. The last undercard fight finished, and we get ready for the main event. Place is packed. It is suddenly like everything just goes pitch black. TV's out, lights off, everything. And now hoping that it comes back up before the fight starts. And it looked like they got service now. So hopefully we didn't miss too much. Didn't miss the ring walk. And look like it's trying to reconnect to the network. We get to see at least the ring walk, but hopefully don't miss any of like the opening round or whatnot. It's like I remember my mom used to live in Florida. It was like every day in the afternoon during the summer they'd have like these rainstorms, and she had DirecTV too. And it's the thing that I hated about satellite, where when you had bad weather that like this signal will come out. Counting down, man. Hoping that it loads up in time. We'll take you back to those dial-up days, waiting to connect to the internet. Here we go. Hopefully, not much happens. Commercial won't be having this much. Regain signal just right in time. It's cutting out a little bit, but we're gonna keep hope alive. Missed the Spence ring walk, but here comes Crawford. Eminem. Yep. he came out with the fishnet too. Okay.
And you wouldn't believe it, but the power and everything came back for the ring walk, and then it went out again. Signal lost again, and it was this whole stressful thing of, are we going to get to see this fight? Fortunately, everything came back just in time when they were meeting in the middle of the ring, and so with that, got to watch the fight.
Just finished watching the fight. It was exciting. It was definitely lived up to the hype. I just wish that it felt a little bit more even. I think Spence came in a little bit too aggressive, and with that, like, he kept dropping his hands. So it's like he was all offense, no defense. Sort of like the reverse of the complaints that you've heard about Anthony Joshua with his recent fights. And so with him just constantly dropping his hands to get off punches, especially in the early rounds, we found that it just opened up a path for Crawford to just constantly land on him. Like, I mean, it was just counter after counter after counter. And it was a cool experience. The fight was cool. It was a good fight, yet still. I think Spence, it's not like it was one-sided, but largely just because I think Crawford just overwhelmed Spence. But he gave a good effort all the same. My complaint, though, would be more about watching the fight at Dave & Buster's. Granted, the power went out due to, like, bad weather, which wasn't, anyone's fault or whatever. But even before that, it was like the service was kind of, it wasn't like jam-packed, but there was a fair amount of people, and they seemed just overwhelmed by the amount of people. Yet you had like a lot of staff. Like, I ended up sitting at the bar because it was going to be like 45 minutes for a table, and at this point it was like after 10, like a little bit after 10, and I was worried that the fight would start, and I'd be sitting there because once you sit down and you still have to wait for your food and whatnot. So I went ahead and just sat at the bar, placed my order, and watched the last of the lead-up fight to the main event. Watched the entire main event fight, and they were still saying like it was going to be like another 10 minutes. So I just ended up canceling my order and just finding someplace nearby to grab something quick to eat. They just seemed really overwhelmed. By the amount of people. It's like, I would think on a Saturday night, especially when there's like a big fight taking place, there's a UFC fight taking place, there's like UFC fights taking place as well, you would make sure that you have adequate staff, which, like, they had a lot of people at the bar, but it's like, you have one lady taking drink orders and making drinks and stuff like that. Meanwhile, there seem to be several other people that seem to, I don't know, I mean, like, I don't work in a restaurant or whatever, but it seemed for the amount of people that were standing around that they should have been able to get the drinks out more quickly. Granted, they were at the bar. The kitchen is a different situation. You don't know what was going on back there. And then it's like with the power going out, their systems went out and whatnot, which messed up all of the orders, and they were already running behind. So with the power going out, that just made things even worse. So would I come back again? I think maybe on a regular day to play games and stuff like that. Just to hang out for an afternoon, maybe to watch a fight or something like that. Probably not. I'd probably check out somewhere else. In addition to that, like, I guess maybe it was like a staffing shortage kind of thing. It's like the bathroom was pretty filthy as well. It just felt like they weren't really on it. But all in all, it was like an option for watching the fight. I ended up watching the fight for free rather than paying the pay-per-view. But, didn't really get my food and whatnot, so that kind of took away from the experience. But I guess at least I got to watch the fight, which is the main thing.
Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.